Hey guys, this is going to be kind of like a prequel of sorts for the new campaign that we're going to be starting. I meant to do this earlier. I've run into a whole bunch of technical issues, man, because it always sounds terrible. So hopefully this will be the final one that I do. But this will just kind of give you a little bit of the world before the campaign started, and then after the little excerpt, because I would like to keep doing these potentially. I'll see how you all feel about them. Like there might be like little journal entries that you could find um, throughout like different dungeons, stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, I'll talk with you all about that. But after this little excerpt, then I'll go into a little bit more about the world building or things I think that you might find interesting, just to kind of catch them at first. And of course, you've got questions, ask from then. So, um, Al, if this is for you, if you want, you can just speed up this next portion so you don't actually have to listen to me impersonating Deckard Cain. So, just to give you an authentic experience, just something that you might want to do. All right.
Decades ago, war raged across these lands, from the pale coast to the shimmering sea, from the North Pole to the forever glades. The land was torn asunder and left in ruins. Forests burned, fields were assaulted, and towns, subsequently, assaulted. As to what caused this global conflict, the gods, well, that's nothing new. This time, it might not have been their fault. One night, a wave of frenzy was sent across the lands, converting devotees to zealots, causing neighbors to fight over gods. It became a war of pantheons. Whose sea god is the strongest? What face does the god of the mountain behold? Or even the proper name for their respective sky gods. Kingdoms fought in the name of their gods, seeking their approval and patronage. While the war gods grew strong, the majority weakened. As they were losing their followers, they realized that they had to come to an agreement on how to stop this. And so a grand convergence was called to determine how best to handle the conflict. Some wanted to send heroes, which takes a bit of time to produce. Others wanted to sit back and watch, which became less popular as their powers tended to wane. Others wanted to come down and from their respective heavens and start anew. But the gods of life and death were very against that because, wow, think of the backlog. But as the Celestials were at an impasse, the war raged on beneath. A sub-council of gods met in secret. Gods varying from care, hope, knowledge, and exploration met, realizing their strong, ancient magics being cast to fuel the world and war that was dividing it. They knew they had to prepare an equally strong spell, but for a spell that strong, they were going to need a sacrifice. Eventually, Hestia, goddess of Olympia, came forth. Notably, she is the goddess of sacrifice and hearth, and spoke on how she could enter a deep slumber to quell the land, using her nature to supplement the frenzy. But what they would need would be gods of various skills to cast the spell and do their portions. They needed a god to part the heavens, and, well, Zeus wouldn't give away his sister. So that was out of the question. They needed a god to split the earth. And then finally, some gods to lay Hestia to rest. As they weighed their strengths and sent requests to other gods, they were able to muster a group with the requisite powers. To part the heavens, they used the powers of Amaterasu to split the earth and make the nest for Hestia was Geb, to sunder the earth and expose the molten bed for Hestia to lay. then together with Naught and Somnus, used to shade the sleeping goddess and maintain her slumber, they were able to weave her nest, cast their spell, and lay Hestia to rest. And when the land was sealed, a wave arced across the land, rippling through kingdoms. Weapons clattered and fists fell, as the calming wave negated the frenzy, and an immediate world ceasefire occurs. In part from the confusion that lay in front of them, and other part as their pantheonic leaders came down from heavens and issued their decrees. And now that their devotees were in a state to listen. Now, sources differ on what God said, but the general message was, don't ever pull shit like that again or we actually will fucking destroy you. Or something like that. Now, to help heal some of the wounds caused, some gods took their corporeal forms and traveled to affected towns and villages within each other's territories. And for just over a year, they traveled to build trusts and build alliances between neighbors. Though, when the gods left, so did their frequent influence, where they were investigating the origin of the frenzy, or thought that isolation was best. Some, I know, had to spend their times pointing fingers, but for us we weren't sure. And that was then 26 years ago, and 26 years of ongoing silence. But during this time, peace held across the land. Technology and culture flourished. The Grand Assembly was created to bring nations and tribes together, to discuss issues and trade agreements. Though 3 nights ago was the night of the 26th anniversary of the Grand Armistice, festivals and parades were held all around to rejoice. Lords welcomed their subjects to their homes. Leaders met to celebrate alliances until midnight. As the bells tolled for a new day, chaos once again erupted across the land, though this time no frenzy. Demons tore portals in various cities, towns, and villages. Most villages were decimated. Those that could make it into their lord's manor and hold off them, some survived, but most completely wiped out. Generations in the matter of hours. Towns and cities still suffered heavy losses, but were largely able to repel their invaders with the help of their guards and various guild halls. Since then, those 3 months ago, there have just been sporadic attacks with no real pattern in frequency, or location for that matter. Allegiances became strained, but not broken for the time being. Economies shifted to war, as did the focus of clerics and scholars alike. Work was good for the various guilds, but even they couldn't celebrate.
Alright, so shit's fucked. Demons are everywhere. Probably something y'all might want to take care of. You don't have to. You know, as I mentioned in there, there's guilds. You can find work there. They'll probably try to get you to stop the demon threat. And maybe between talking to some people of various cultures, whatever, you might be able to get to the bottom of this or something like that. Go travel to some different places. Things of that nature. I guess just like a few like character building things, so I'll put everything else in just kind of like a text form. I don't care what your alignment is. You can be a good guy, bad guy. For all I care about, you could be a rogue that actually doesn't want anything to do with the party, and the party actually has to convince you to stay. I don't care. However you all want to do it, if somehow you make a character that would have no reason to be in this place, that's fine. You can drop them after the first little portion. Be like, yeah, I really don't think that they would do that, but I think this character could. So we can find different ways to incorporate things like that. I want to make sure that it's very fluid for you all. So that was a lot longer than I expected. I'm sorry for taking your all's time, but we're not going to hit the 10 market, so we'll see how this goes.